Hi guys, Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. All the parts are here, I think. Let's see if we can get this thing cutting. While it's true that everything is here that we need to get this thing fired up and running, there is a little bit of work we got to do first. I still have to do a little bit of preparation with the plasma cutter. We've got the torch height control box that needs to be installed. We've got to connect the trigger up to the CNC controller box. We've got to connect the cutter head up to the plasma cutter and the ground clamp, and that is about it. Also, we'll have to put a little bit of water in the water table. Let me get you guys set up in a stand and we'll take a look at the torch height control. The way the torch height control works is the further the cutter head gets away from the steel, the higher the voltage is going to be. The closer that it gets, the lower the voltage is going to be. And by using this box, there's a 50-to-1 ratio output voltage built into the Razorweld, and that connects up to this box. This box then connects to the CNC table. I have the additional module. There's a little tiny module that has to plug into the board that gives us our brains behind monitoring the voltage and adjusting the Z-axis accordingly. If you're cutting on nice flat steel, not a big deal. But if you get a little bit of warp happening in the steel as you cut, you're obviously putting some heat into thin steel. It can definitely warp. So we need to be able to adjust for that. I've seen pictures on the forums of people that have cut corrugated steel, the stuff that's got the waves, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch waves on it, using the torch height control, and it works quite well. So I have a lot of hope that the torch height control is going to work very well for us. Was it necessary for me to buy it when I bought the CNC machine? Absolutely not. I'm sure for what I'm doing, the non-torch height control would have been just fine. However, you save a little bit of money by buying it all at once. So they sucked me in with their marketing ploy. What can I say? So the Razorweld is very straightforward. It's it basically, you plug this in, you'll Velcro this to the side of the box, and everything will be taken care of. In the installation instructions for torch height control, there's quite a bit of information on how to hook this up to different styles of plasma cutters. You can hook up without the reduced divided input. The 50-to-1 goes in on this input. Straight voltage goes in on these, and then you've got divided output and straight output. So let's start with putting some Velcro on there. I think we're going to put the fuzzy on the back of the box. And we'll put the hooks onto the plasma cutter. There we go. We can plug into those. I haven't figured out which one is which. We've got the instructions here for the plasma cutter, and it says that the torch height control goes into 14. So that is the outboard one, and the torch on off goes into the center one closest to the torch. I guess that makes sense. We've got our torch trigger, and then we've got our torch height control that goes from the box into the CNC controller. There's our ground clamp, or actually I guess this is technically the positive, and the ground is the torch. Let me move over beside the controller box. I'll move you guys over there so you can kind of see what we've got going on, and we'll get the rest of this connected up to the controller. My apologies if the lighting isn't the best down here. There's not a whole lot of room for you guys, me, and the lights I'm using, so we'll have to make do. We connect up the torch height control. Uses, I think they call those an aviation connector of some sort. I'm not sure. The torch height gets plugged into the divided output of the torch height control box, and then we have our trigger plugs into the torch on off. We're almost all hooked up. We've got power that we still have to do. We'll do it last, and we've got our torch, which I need to get the cap off here. Protective cap comes off. We want to be careful that we don't bend any of these pins, because this is your stop, start, etc. There's a key that goes on the bottom, and we thread the cap in. I suppose if we're going to use the plasma cutter, we probably should get some air hooked up. We'll grab the air line. So we're all hooked up. Let's turn this thing on. No big explosions. Several of the guys that are using the Cut 45 plasma cutter basically say they leave the cut amperage up as pretty well at maximum. Then they just adjust the cut speed to vary how much heat you're putting into the metal. We have a piece of 1/8 inch there, so we can probably put a fair amount of heat into it. I'm going to try and record this with a screen capture device, and we'll do kind of a picture-in-picture thing. If this works, we're going to turn on the dry run bit just to see what it does. Yeah, that's not what we wanted. Helps if we zero things first. Zero all axes. We're going to do a dry run. Let's see what it does. Okay. Go to work 0. We'll turn off the dry run bit. Put the welding mask down. Now, one thing I've heard mentioned on this is that it's a good idea to disconnect the computer from the power source in case we get some weird arcing going back through the grounds to the computer. We don't want to fry this computer. It's several years old, but it's still worth a lot of money to me. Well, let's see what it does. Wow, for that little cut, we sure got a lot of black stuff in the water tray. All we've got holding it is just a little bit of slag in this first corner where it started. And just a little on the warm side here. So that'll cool it off. But look at that. A little bit of slag on the back. That will clean up with no problem at all with a grinder. Might even come off with just a bump with a cold chisel. And look at the cut. That is absolutely amazing. That is exactly what I wanted out of this thing. Very impressive. I think we're going to end the video here. Thanks a lot for stopping by to check this out. Can you throw me a subscribe? Trying to get up to 500 subscribers by the end of July. Greatly appreciate it if you do that. Thumb up would be wonderful too. And we'll catch you guys in the next mess. Thanks for watching.